The angel said to them, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you, that you will find a baby wrapped, swaddling in a manger, in clothing, lying in the manger." And suddenly there was the angels and a multitude of heaven of hosts praising God, saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among those with whom he is pleased." So you've probably read this story, you've heard this story quite a bit, and it's a time of joy and of peace and of hope. And a lot of times we can kind of feel that pressure, and I wonder, like, the pressure to feel hopeful, the pressure to feel joy and to experience peace itself. And if we try to figure out why maybe we feel disconnected, it might be because of how we're understanding what those words mean. Those words, hope, joy, peace, those are all words used around Advent. If you practice or if you're familiar with it, like, those are all the words that we usually use around it. But if we're honest, when we try to define something like that, usually what that definition comes down to is more of like, it sounds more like optimism, right? You're looking for the best in life. Like, hey, this looks like the good side of things. This is how things should work out, and it looks like it could be pretty good. But optimism is pretty shallow for us. We need something sturdy, something strong enough to hold real life. Because the Christmas season of joy and all that stuff, it's fleeting, it's in a moment, and then you have to go back to real life. You have to go back to work. You have to go back to the mundane. You have to go back to the relationships. And it causes Christmas and the story of Christmas to feel like a fairy tale. It sounds nice, but we all know that's not really how life works. There isn't really that happily ever after. So what I want us to do is to actually dig deeper into what these words mean, because Jesus has come, and we can wait with the hope, live with joy, and trust God to make us whole. So when we look at hope, how do we define hope? Well, Hebrews 11:1 defines that for us already. Now hope is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. Hope in this context is like, okay, I'm certain of what we hope for and like confident of what we do not see. But often what we begin to kind of picture is that it's like a wish. Hope for me is like, it's a wish. If I wish for something, man, I don't like this situation, so I want this other situation to happen, and it's a hopeful wish that we have, that it would be nice if it happens. But that's not how the Bible actually gives us the actual definition of what hope looks like in life. The first mention of hope is actually with Noah on the flood. If you're not familiar with the story, Noah builds this big ark because the world is absolutely depraved and is crushed. And so he builds up this ark. He gets in the ark with his family. There's all the animals. So like you have all those little like figures and stuff of like a big boat, and you got a giraffe sticking out and stuff, right? But what you don't see all that is like all the chaos around it, where like, oh yeah, there's like a bunch of dead bodies in the water, right? This is a great Christmas message. And so 40 days, 40 nights, it rains, and then it stops raining. And Noah, it says that Noah was waiting for the waters to recede, okay? And the idea is like, man, Noah's sitting there. He's like, cool, I've been sitting here 40 days, 40 nights on a boat. I don't see any land. And so he's waiting, and this like, something needs to happen. Like, we can't live on a boat. Like, God has promised something here. Where's the land? Where is this going? And that was the first mention of hope in the Bible. And so the Hebrew Bible uses words and a picture of like, it's this idea of waiting, but it's like the tension in a cord that is about to be snapped, right? It is a waiting where like that cord is being pulled and stretched, and you're waiting, and you're like, that needs to snap because that tension is uncomfortable. And that's the idea of what the biblical word for hope actually means for us. Where it's not, man, it would be nice if this happens. I'm trying to picture how this would work out. It's not thinking, I think I understand how this will work out. I see the situation. I see what's happening here. And so I'm waiting, and my confidence in my situation, I can create the situation, how it's going to work out for us. That is optimism. Hope is where you don't have any idea how it's going to work out. But because of what's happened in the past, because of how God has proved to be faithful in the past, maybe not to you, maybe in the Bible, maybe it has been your own personal stories, you have hope that he will do what he has always been faithful to do for you. That's the biblical definition of hope. I go to the gym, and I have turned my whole garage into a gym. And on Tuesday nights, I have several guys that usually come over and they work out in the gym with me, right? And it's kind of like this safe place where you can do really heavy, dumb weights, okay? And feel like someone has your back all the time, okay? They should usually have your back all the time. In the previous experience, it was like, oh, other guys, like when they struggle, like someone will jump in and they'll spot, like, you got it, bro, and like, get the weight all the way up and for you and stuff and help you out, right? So a couple weeks ago, I was in there, I was benching, and it was one of those, it was really heavy, and I was going down, and I felt the tension, I felt that stretching right there of like, oh, I'm gonna need help, I can't get this, I really need help, and I held it there for like forever. And all these guys, Eddie, are sitting around, not doing anything. And that tension happened, and like, my hope was placed in the wrong people on that day, all right? Like, all right, I had a nice little pec injury, and they're like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry. I was like, where were you guys, right? Like, but that was the tension of like, I need help here in this moment. I don't know who, I don't know where. I'm sure one of these guys is gonna help me. Was the hope that I had. But that's that tension moment, right? That the Bible is painting for us. If you're new here, you're gonna get so many gym illustrations because I know the Bible, I love my family, and I go to the gym, and that's really it. So like, you're not gonna get a lot of great illustrations or like songs or anything like that. Like Nate does that stuff. You'll get a lot of these here. But the Christian hope is not confidence in your situation and being able to make it work out. It's actively waiting on God's faithfulness. You sit in that tension, you don't escape from that tension, but it's a confidence that in God's character, he will do as he has promised that he has done for you. Israel had been waiting for years, decades for the promise of God. And they were under massive amount of tension, waiting for the Savior to come, waiting for the Savior to do something that was promised to them. And when the angels appear, they find that joy, they find that hope that they can have in something. But that waiting then raises the question, if hope is trusting God while we wait, what are we supposed to do and how are we supposed to live while we wait? And that's the idea of where joy comes in and why they use joy that has come here. Now, most of us, if we're normal, never use the word joy, right? Like when someone's like, how you doing? Oh man, I'm just joyful. And it's like, oh, that's a little weird, right? Like we don't use that. And I've never told someone, be like, hey man, you should rejoice, right? Outside of like a church context, but if like my work employee is having a hard time and something like that, I'm like, man, you should rejoice right now. They'd look at me like, dude, you're weird. Like you just don't use that word. We use like happiness and like you should be happy in this moment, maybe glad, but even then, like we have one word that we associate joyfulness with. Just one word. But the Bible gives us a different understanding of what joy should look like, because I want you to understand, it can't be just a feeling. It can't be a feeling. It has to be something more for us, because when the angels tell them, hey, rejoice, be in joy, in verse 10, and the angel said to them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news, the hope of great joy that will be for all people. And unto you is a Savior is born. So this is joy that is going to happen for them. Because they weren't rescued out of that situation. They were still shepherds, which was one of the lowest classes they could be in. They were still under Roman rule, which is what they all wanted to be free from. They were still lacking salvation from their sins. But he says, rejoice. And to have joy, the Bible definition of joy is not the absence of pain, is not the absence of uncomfort. It is the presence and ease of what God is going to do. Even though it hasn't happened yet. Joy is a response to God's goodness, even when life is still hard. Happiness, that depends on the situation. That depends on how we feel in that moment. That's the definition of happiness, right? But that comes and goes. What God calls us to do is to be joyful in this moment. And so it's a response to the hope that you and I have that we can have joy. That God is going to do what he has said he is going to do. Tim Mackey gave this decent illustration around this holiday season where he's like, happiness is like when you open up that, like as a kid, you open up that present, it's got that toy and everything you've always wanted. You're like, yes, right? You feel excited because you received this thing for you, right? But then that happiness flees away when like you realize, it needs batteries. Mom and dad don't have these batteries, right? And so that happiness goes away very quickly, okay? But joy is more or less what Hannah's parents would always do, where they're like, what do you want for Christmas? And then they choose it and they'd buy it. And so you already knew what you were going to get. And then it's already there. So they were happy and there was an excitement for what they were going to get. It already had the batteries, but they already knew what they were going to have. Which I always thought was a really weird way to do Christmas. It's like, no surprise, just like, cool, I ordered all my stuff on Amazon. I got what it was a really weird way to kind of explain it, but it understands about, joy. I know what I am going to receive from God. I know what God has promised to me, so I can have joy. That's why you can have joy no matter what the circumstances are, that you're not escaping from the circumstances. The circumstances could still suck that you're in. It could still be terrible. But the reason why you can have joy is because you know what he has done in the past for you, the hope that you have, and that is given to you as a child of God. That he has that for you. Joy is not letting my current circumstances tell my whole story of what I believe. When you're in a bad moment, when you're in those bad seasons, you can feel like, man, everything sucks, everyone around me sucks, my life sucks, but you're letting those situations, that circumstance, tell your story. Joy is when you change it and you're not allowing those circumstances to define what God's story is for your life. Because Jesus has come, we can wait in hope, live with joy, and find God and trust God to make us whole. Hope is telling us what we're waiting for. Joy tells us how we live and while we wait. And then peace is that last part. Peace is what God is restoring as we wait. So peace in the Bible is not this idea of the absence of conflict. It's not a feeling necessarily, though it can be. And it's not the idea of like there's no fighting, there's no conflict or anything for us. Peace has a much broader and important definition for us to understand what peace means. So peace meant a few different things. In 1 Kings, shalom, which is the way that it's kind of used, it's this idea of completeness. And it was the idea of completing the temple, and there was one last stone, and it just slides in perfectly, right? It's like those videos you can see on social media, and it's like things that just line up perfectly, like, that brick that just fits in there, and you don't have to do anything around it, and all the guys are like, yeah, I know what we're talking about, like, and it just brings like, yeah, that's the way it should be, right? That's the definition of, that's what peace is looking like for us. And it's used in that image to create other few different areas. In Proverbs, it uses peace to talk about fairness and justice. Of like, this is the way that life should be. It should be fair. There's a just component to what we should be seeing. In James, he talks about the double-minded man and how he lacks peace in all of his ways. And it's a loyalty and an undivided allegiance to one way. That understanding what peace is for us. So peace is this wholeness of how things should be. Jesus is called the Prince of Peace, who makes the divided people one. And he reconciles those who are enemy of God to become friends of God. On the cross, Jesus absorbs and breaks the peace for us. He gets rid of the sin, the shame, the hostility, and offers forgiveness and reconciliation. And it is the resurrection and the first piece that God puts everything back together. Like, this is the way creation was supposed to be. That is the peace of God that we see. Peace, when we think about this, there's always unrest for us. Right now in this moment, we just feel uncomfortable. Like there's still things that don't complete us. And this is why humans, you see people who seem like they have everything they want. They have all the money, they have the perfect job, maybe they're not even working, their family is all together, and yet there's still unrest for them. They're still seeking something because they aren't complete. And that's the way that we were wired to be, is that none of the rest of these things that are finite. They will burn away, they will not last forever. They cannot fulfill the void in our heart. The only thing that can is God, who will continuously, because he is infinite, because he is eternal, he will infinitely fill that void for us. As often as it comes up, as often as we're seeking it, his peace brings that for us. We won't find it in the world. We won't find it in our work. We won't find it in our spouse. We won't find it in our children. You will only find that peace of God in Christ. So Jesus doesn't just offer a peaceful feeling, but he offers you a wholeness, a new filled reality with God that slowly works its way into your mind, into your relationships, into the city. And so Christmas is telling us that hope has begun. We have something we can hope in based on his faithfulness, that joy is available despite your circumstances, and that peace is on its way because Jesus has come. And so we don't have to base our relationship with God or even a time of celebration based on a feeling. Because honestly, very little in the Christian walk is based on how you feel. It's based on the reality and understanding and changing of your mindset to what God has done for us. Christmas should be that mindset of a way where we reflect on the hope. Where do you feel stretched right now? Where that chord, where it seems like, man, there's a tension here. And instead of trying to find optimism and trying to find, looking at the best way it could possibly go, you look to say, Jesus, I don't know how this will go. I don't know how this path will work. I don't know any of this, but I wait on you alone. And then you can find joy that, Jesus, I don't have all this figured out, but I'm placing my hope in you and your ability to fix everything because of what you have done. And that's a time for you to be able to celebrate in your soul. And you can find peace. When things feel lacking, when just it doesn't feel like it's complete, the mundaneness of life, and you're like, there's got to be more to this. That's where you can find peace with God, where he takes those fractured relationships, that's chaos in your life, and he completes it for you. Where he finds and can restore those relationships. He finds and restores your own unrest in your own soul with him and him alone. Our mission here at Reunion Church is to see people redeemed, restored, and reunited to God. That is our mission statement. But that's another way of saying that as a church, we want to live out our joy as people of hope and bring peace to the city. We aren't going to try and mess with your feelings and try to make you feel a bunch of different ways with all different sounds and music and plays and all that stuff. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need just a little pick-me-up. But what we want to do here is to allow you to feel how you are going to feel in that moment. But to help you understand what joy means and how you can have joy in any situation despite how you feel. How you can have hope in hopeless situations. There are dark and evil things that are happening to people all the time and are happening to some of you here that shouldn't be happening. But he can restore those things for you and give you a new hope that will finally give your soul rest. chasing after the world, chasing after everything that has been offered to you, and you're trying to pursue it, and you're in areas, I'm sure you're probably meeting some of those expectations you've had in life, but you still feel empty. You still are chasing after those things. Why? Instead of chasing after what God has for you, instead of chasing after God's plan for your life and the story that he has for you and I. In a moment, we're going to go into table talks. We're talking about the hope and the joy and the peace and what that really looks like in life. And in table talks, this is a time where you can just see how people are actually doing life itself. Some will have great, happy stories. Some will be like, this season sucks for me, and that's okay. We don't have to try to fake how we feel. We don't have to try to fake how we are with the other Christians here. Life is real, and we want to be real with each other, but we will point each other to Jesus. And that's the joy of community that we have together. The joy that we have in this. This Christmas season, that's honestly what really it should be about, where we all have a common message of hope, of joy. And despite what we're going through, when we come together, there's that similarity that we have of something we can look forward to. That there is hope. Even when you don't see it, other people might be able to see that hope for you and help you in it. That's the importance of a community and of the church coming together in this moment. And so during table talks, feel free to express what that looks like. You don't need to go to and share every detail in it, but if you're just not feeling it, that's okay. If things are rough, that's okay. If you don't understand how joy or hope or peace can be in a situation, that's fine. We can talk about that. If you are finding ways to do that, that's where you are a gift to other people. Because other people may not be experiencing that, and when you share your story and how God's working in your life, that changes and helps them see, that's how I can do this. That's what God wants me to do in that moment. Let's pray. God, I thank you for this time. Lord, I pray just for this season. The next couple of days, there's going to be all sorts of feelings and emotions and people that we like hanging out with, people that we don't like hanging out with, the stress of, man, how are we going to pay for this? Do we get the right gifts? Is everyone happy with it? And Lord, I just pray that we'd be able to take that back and just let go of those things, give them to you, God, and really meditate on the hope that we have. Maybe everything doesn't go as planned. That's okay. Maybe it's a terrible experience, but we can have joy. And when it's all said and done and we have that holiday down, it's like, man, we don't have that feeling. We don't have that hype around it anymore. We don't have to place our confidence in that and chasing after the next thing, but instead to have peace and completeness from you. We pray this in your name. Amen.